Hi everybody, glad to have you with me today. Today's video is going to be some tips that did not come straight from my brain. These are things that I have actually taken from my mom. And my mom is a former cosmetologist, so she definitely does have some knowledge in the arena of beauty to share. But I think if you looked at anybody who's spent a little more time on this earth than you have, and you might realize, hey, they've got some tips. They've probably learned a thing or two that I could benefit from. And you know, it would have been great if while I was back home for Thanksgiving, I would have had this idea and I could have just, you know, busted out the camera and done something right then and there with my mom beside me. But I didn't have this idea until about 2 hours into my 5.5-hour drive home. So I was like, Mom, I've got to call you early in the morning and, you know, get your input in this video. So she is one of the few people that between the hours of 6 and 7, I feel like I can get away with calling in the morning. So we're just going to dial her up here. We're calling Mom.
Hello.
Mom, good morning.
Yeah, good morning.
You're on my video.
Right now?
Yep.
Oh, my goodness. Okay. I'm ready.
All right. So I've given people the backstory of what the idea, you know, of this video was, and the fact that I feel like there are people in our lives who may have, you know, some little tidbits to offer beauty-wise, and sometimes you don't always think of things early on, like in your teenage years, like, oh, I'm going to take that tip from Mom, but time goes on and you start to realize it.
Yes.
Yes, the first thing that I wanted to talk about, and the thing that really got this idea churning in my mind, was Dove soap. Because when I went back home, I did not take my beloved face wash cloths that I used to take my makeup off every night. I had forgotten them, and so Mom said, well, why don't you just use the Dove soap and a washcloth? And so I used it and continued using it for several days, and, you know, Dove soap, there's something to that, Mom.
Well, I'm glad you noticed that.
It really works well, and my skin feels great.
I had never thought to really tell you about it, but I've probably used it for a good 35 years. When Kelly had some facial outbreaks, and the doctor said this is a soap that they should always use just to keep a good balance in the skin. I think there's several different Doves, but this is just the natural one.
The classic one.
Sensitive skin. Yeah, just the regular classic.
And I think it's surprising how effectively it actually can remove makeup, like a full face of makeup, and get it around. I feel like I can get it around my eye area without any problems. Yeah, and it really can remove it fully, but yet you feel like your skin is not stripped. So I thought that was a pretty good solution there, and something I think I'm going to keep on doing.
Well, good.
Very good. Okay, we're going to move on to number 2 here, and this is coffee through the straw. This has been a newer thing that I've noticed Mom doing, and I thought, you know, I could really benefit from that because I don't have the best of enamel on my teeth, and I've had recently some work done on my front teeth, and now I do have this heightened like awareness of that area of my mouth, and like I want to keep it good as long as I can. And so this is as much of a health thing as a beauty thing, don't you think, Mom?
Oh yes, I've had also some work done on my front teeth, and I went into this using the straw idea, and I feel like it just kind of shoots that liquid back, you know, off of just going right through your front teeth. This is the same with, you know, vegetable or fruit juices or anything that is going to harm the enamel. I try that, and this is another crazy thing I do with that straw. If you will smile while you're drinking, you can get rid of your lines on your lips that want to form.
Oh yeah, like if you're
Yes.
That's not a good thing if you're like pursing your lips around the straw, right?
When you think of drinking a cup of coffee, how you purse your lips to drink that.
Yeah.
Okay, that's not good. Okay, it's a little better with the straw, but you still kind of make that motion as well. So if you will just smile when you drink through the straw, you will find that really kind of lessens the lines that you're constantly
That's a good point.
You know, throughout the day.
That's a good point. It stretches your lips out just a little bit as opposed to scrunching them in. So.
Oh, it does.
Good
and
take.
You can drink your water that way as well.
All right.
So all day drinking works.
All day drinking. What about your cocktails?
You could do that too.
Alrighty. Number 3. This is my third tip that I feel like I have kind of taken from Mom. This has also been revived a bit in my mind after the Besame video that I did with all the red lipsticks and that kind of thing. And it's the use of, from Mom primarily, the use of lip brushes, but then also the advantages of blotting a creamy lip product off. And just to give you guys a little background, my mom loves to use these like CoverGirl Outlast, like really long wearing lip products because they just don't move outside the lip line. But if you're going to be using, you know, a creamy lipstick, which maybe you got a color you love and you just really want to make use of it, a lip brush can really kind of ration out the amount that you're putting on your lips at one time, as opposed to swiping it all on straight from the stick. So Mom, tell us a little bit more about the logic behind using the lip brush.
But even more is the fact that as you get older, the lip line becomes a little murkier, a little less defined.
Okay.
And I would never just be able, I don't feel like, to just, you know, put on a lipstick like you might and feel like I had a good thing going. So I will always outline. Prior to that, I will, if I'm going to use regular lipstick, I will powder my lips lightly.
Okay.
And then I will start with that liner. Then I will go ahead and fill that in.
By liner, do you mean lip brush? Filling in with the lip brush?
Lip brush, yes.
Okay.
Yes. And I will then blot that, and then I will lightly powder that again, and then I will put one more coat on and even blot that. And that really is a very close help to using the Outlast or. And the one I really have loved lately was Revlon Color Stay Ultimate, and that's probably the one that lasts longer on your mouth than anything I've ever tried. The problem with that is, though, it does not supply you a top coat. They say you don't need one with that. I feel it's too, I wouldn't even go tacky, but dry.
Okay.
I would need a top coat, so I add a top coat. That will take you 24 hours. A lot of them say that, but this one really will.
Interesting. It's good to know that there's a way you can work with some of the creamier lipsticks. In this video, what I applied, I used Revlon Cherries in the Snow, which is a very bold yet creamy, a bold but creamy lipstick. And I love the color, but I worry about wearing it a little bit too full on because it will just drift. Even with my lips, and I, you know, you mentioned like I don't have the problems you have with the lip line issue, but with certain lip colors, anybody can have an issue, I think. So applying it with the lip brush helps you build up the color more slowly, and then the blotting, of course, like you said, you know, keeps it from drifting as much throughout the day and just having as much creaminess on there.
Yeah.
Yeah. All right, I'm going to move on to tip number 4 from Mom, and this was probably one of the first makeup related tips I ever got from Mom, and I don't feel like she ever at any point in my life like hit me over the head with, you know, you've got to do this makeup wise and you got to do that. She was never that kind of a person. But one thing that she did do, and I think it was before taking one of those church photos, maybe, you know, the lovely church family photos. And Mom was talking about how, you know, peach blush, you need some blush on there. And she seems to think that peach is a pretty good color. I am holding here CoverGirl Instant Cheekbones in the shade Peach Perfection. But the specific blush that I am referring to is called Pretty Peach. And that's also from CoverGirl. You really see the value in peachy blush on just about anybody, right?
Yeah, I think it's just a little more of a natural look once you put it on. A real pink tends to look a little more fake to me at times. That might be an individual thing as well. It's just something I've always felt more comfortable with.
But just using a blush in general, it is one of those things where even if your makeup was pretty minimal on the rest of your face, you put on a blush in the morning and it does something, don't you think?
Oh, lipstick, blush, mascara, you have to have those 3. I don't feel comfortable without that. Now, maybe that's just my problem, but that's the way I feel.
That's your problem, Mom. Okay. And last tip, this is tip number 5. I just kept it to 5. I do have a few others. We could do a part 2 on this if you guys want it, but the last thing I'm going to leave you with here that comes from Mom is the use of waterproof eyeliners only. And
Right.
I think people get really hung up on using waterproof mascaras, let's say, for staying power and the concern of things running. But the eyeliner is really the closest thing, the ultimate closest thing, right in there next to your eye. And Mom will tell you that as your eyes age, you know, you've got more of a transfer issue there with non-waterproof liners. But even on my eyes, I mean, around my inner corners, even if I'm not particularly like crying during the day, you know, you can have some transfer there and some weirdness gunking up like in the inner corner of your eye. So Mom, take it away. Waterproof liner.
Okay, the one that I found that has worked the best was L'Oreal telescopic waterproof liner, and it has a really nice little brush in there. That it's a very tapered little tip on that brush, which makes it a lot easier to get it right where you want it. I think there are other waterproof, but that's the one that I landed on. If you get older and you're going to have a little more skin coming down there, it's just going to be a situation you want to try to take care of. So that works for me, and I think it would work for probably anyone with that problem.
When you get through with your telescopic, I would love you to try the Jordana Color Envy Waterproof Liquid Liner in the shade Black Envy, because that's the one that I use nonstop. It's probably just a couple bucks cheaper than the L'Oreal, and that's the next one that you need to try, and I will make sure you have
Now
it.
you can give me a tip, huh?
Yeah, I'll give you a tip, Mom.
Well, good. I can't wait to try.
I'm going to just go ahead and take a sip of my coffee here and say thank you so much for joining me on this early morning with your tips.
What's fun?
Yes. Mom's like my co-host right now. So,
Well, I'm glad I can do that for you.
yeah, thank you for just kind of supplying me with the idea without even realizing it. And we may do this again sometime. Well, we'll let you go.
Thanks for calling.
Uh-huh.
See you later. Love you. Bye.
Love you too. Bye. Well, thank you guys so much for watching. It was fun getting to not do this alone for a change, and I hope you enjoyed the tips. Let me know in the comments section below, you know, has there been some like game-changing makeup tip that you've gotten from a mom or a loved one out there who's a little more experienced in the makeup world? That would be fun to share and chat about in the comments section below. But I appreciate your time, and I will talk to you guys later. Bye.